Happy Thursday, everybody. We're feeling a bit nostalgic this morning.
Yes.
We are. We're asking people, comment below, do you remember your first car? If so, you're not alone. A new survey finds many of us actually miss our first set of wheels.
Researchers say 90% of us remember our first car. I mean, if you don't, then I wonder what happened. About 60% of us wish we could go back in time and really take better care of it. The baby boomer generation, the most likely to lean into this nostalgia, followed by Gen Xers. I feel like anybody after that, you've not had enough time to have nostalgia at this point. So this morning we want to know, what was your first car? Comment below. This is what folks are saying this morning.
Rambler.
A Rambler?
Oh, the striped Gremlin. Now, some of these, I know cars decently, so some of these might be a Google search for you. But one of my favorites here is, everyone knows about the VW Beetle. Haven't seen
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
We used to see those around all the time. Now
I used to want a Beetle so bad.
One of the classic VW
Oh,
Beetles.
yeah, I know. Where the trunk was in the front.
Oh, yeah,
They're great.
Yeah.
The Ford Fairmont station wagon.
Woo, that's a classic right there.
I can only imagine how cool that was going to high school. And the Rambler, I'm trying to think of what the Rambler looks like.
Nash Rambler. I can remember how it looked. In fact, you know what? I think that may have been the first car my father bought, was a Nash Rambler.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
It may have been, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, speaking of,
yes, you've done some diligence here.
and I do want to mention first,
If we're starting with Larry, we should really do Larry last, but that's
Oh, yeah, no, we're not supposed to start with Larry, because we're going to save the best for last. If we can switch over to my weather graphics. And I also want to note, a lot of these cars look nicer than most likely what we actually have.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I look like Mr. Fancy Pants.
I would love to have seen you driving around.
Now, when did you have this?
So this would be when I first got my license, because my dad loved Cadillacs. We were a Cadillac family, but the old Cadillacs, like the ones that literally are boats on wheels.
Yes, that was a huge thing.
This one, the Cape Cod salt, if you've ever been to Cape Cod, things rust pretty easy, so it was a rust bucket, but it was great. I named it Cherry Bomb. It didn't look this nice. Now, temper expectations. This was 2003. When I got my license. This is a 1980.
Woo!
But I had all my savings, and I upgraded 12 years later to eventually a 1992 Cadillac Eldorado. But we move on to Kia.
The 2010 Hyundai Elantra.
Look at that. Is that a hatchback?
Very nice.
It looks, that probably would have been at least a little bit cuter. It was just like the most basic four-door sedan that you can think
But
of.
still a first car, that's all right.
I was about to say, I got my first car in college. I saved all my little pretty pennies after working over the summer, so I'm proud of myself.
Good
it
gas
did end up being
mileage.
a lemon, though. So.
Before we move on to Ben's, when I was Google searching this, under the title was Worst Sports Cars.
There you go. There's mine. And there is mine.
Yes.
It was a Honda
Was it that color?
Yep, it was red. It was
I
a
tried
Honda
to match the
Del
colors as best as possible.
Let's just say it didn't last very long. Not my car specifically, but the make. They only did it for a few years because it's not especially popular. The top came off, which was cool, but you had to physically manually pick up.
One of those.
Yeah, so you actually needed assistance, and so it didn't come off very often.
That's why it didn't last long.
I bet you look cute driving around
Honestly,
in that car.
it was fun.
Young
It
Ben.
was fun. It was, a few years old when I got it, and it served me well during the time.
What's odd is these are actually a hot commodity because they're so rare because they didn't make that much. I was seeing some go for $18,000 to $24,000.
You should have hung on to it,
I
Ben.
should have hung on to
Who
it.
would have known?
That's right.
Whiz.
All right, and you've probably seen this vehicle before.
Oh, yeah.
The classic.
The Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah.
That's what I was driving around in
Arkansas.
late 90s in Arkansas. And yes, it had several crashes because I was a very distracted 16-year-old driver. And I didn't even have a cell phone then.
I'm shocked.
You know?
Shame on you.
So I would hate to have been a 16-year-old in today's world with cell phones, but...
So driving has never been your thing?
No, and I think, too, because when I moved to Boston, it's a very walkable city. I got rid of my car for years.
Nice,
Totally.
good for you.
And so now I just, I do not love driving.
Jeeps were safe. They've clearly lasted the test of time, and I literally had 4 friends that had Jeeps in high school because it was kind of like the hand-me-downs. All of a sudden, all right, take the Jeep. It'll keep you safe.
Now,
Which is probably what my parents were thinking.
Yeah, that's a good.
now the star of the show.
Yes, the real star of the
Larry
show.
Sprinkle.
I actually found one that looks exactly like
This is it.
Ford Maverick I got.
Oh, what a color!
I know. I mean, it was a lemon. I had nothing. And the first day I got it, I went to a grocery store, and I parked like a block away almost. Nobody around me. I come back, and someone had shoved a cart into it.
Yeah.
Put a dent in the driver's side of it, and I don't know how, I was so mad I picked the cart up over my head and threw it across the
Wow.
I mean, I would never be able to do that. I was all energized because
Young
of that.
Larry.
So I just never got it fixed because I didn't have the money after I paid for all this.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just, I had nothing but problems with this thing. And it looked exact. Maybe it. That's it there.
That exact part.
Exactly it.
Never forget that one.
We are getting several comments.
Did it have
Joy.
AC?
No.
No, yeah, because like, I
No
was going to say
AC.
no AC.
Basic. I mean, it was
And the
automatic.
roll down windows.
Roll down windows.
Oh, classic,
It was
man.
fun.
Okay, so comments. Joy Mott saying I had a 1993 Honda Civic LX.
Classic.
Melissa, my first car was a 1989 Hyundai Excel. I couldn't drive a manual transmission, but I bought it anyway. No, I do not want that car back ever. I prefer all the bells and whistles on my car now.
No nostalgia for me either.
Mine was, this is from Robert Spencer, a 1980 Pontiac Sunbird. It was totaled through no fault of my own before I made the first payment.
What?
Very unfortunate.
No. I remember the Sunbirds.
Yeah.
I think it actually had a bird physically on the
A lot
front.
of people had the Sunbird. Yeah.
Kind of similar to the Trans Am.
Yeah.
Nice.
Emma saying my parents got a new car on my 16th birthday, a blue Ford Focus.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to call it my car, though, for years, but eventually it was.
Perfect. That's all that matters.
And Sarah, I want you to correct me live on this stream. It's
What?
Hyundai, right?
Hyundai. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Like Sunday.
Yeah.
Hyundai like Sunday.
I only want to mention that, and to no fault of that person, Hyundai did not have a good reputation in the 90s. Now they have.
Now they do.
Yeah,
Koreans came a long way.
Yeah,
with that.
they've really come up. Also, Kias were the same way. Just I was disappointed that your first car wasn't a Kia, but hey, you still have time.
But by the way, that Maverick went away, and I'm so glad it did. Boom.
There you go.
Fun random fact, because you called it a lemon.
Yes.
So I actually looked this up years ago. I was like, why do they call it that? Well, they actually had these old little arcade machines that you could get candy from, but if you got lemons, you lost. So that's where it came from. So it was the early 1900s. Yeah,
Very
so
interesting.
you didn't want to get the lemon, so then they ended up moving that over that you don't want
Nice
to car.
trivia right there.
How about that? I didn't know that. Little
We're
piece of
learning a
trivia.
lot today.
All right, chime in and let us know what was your first car, and do you miss it? And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Have a great day.